Good morning, you fantastic and glorious degenerates of this floating rock that we call Earth. Welcome to a special Saturday morning edition of the Cajun Libertarian Live. I am your host, the Cajun Libertarian, and we have the special and amazing Michael White for Liberty running for Congress in the great state of Arkansas. That would be Arkansas. It's funny because I'm a huge LSU fan, and our old coach Les Miles used to say that all the time. He would call them Arkansas, and we're like, dude, it's Arkansas. Come on, stop eating grass. Anyway, happy Saturday morning. Glad to be here with you. Let's get right into it. Coming up next on the Cajun Libertarian Live. All right, let's jump into it real quick. Joe Solosky, the key to Pennsylvania's success. Check him out over in PA. Joe Solosky, joesolosky.com. Outstanding dude. Love that guy. If you like what you hear from him over there in the great state of PA, go check him out. joesolosky.com. Without further ado, let's bring on Mike.
How's it going,
Mike,
brother?
What's up?
How's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good.
Excuse me. Good. How's your Saturday going?
Man, it's beautiful, getting better. I'm here on the podcast with you talking about liberty, one of my favorite things. I mean, I don't think it can get better.
No, I love it. It's awesome. I had you. I think you were the first episode that I had a dual like guests on, right? 'Cause you and Dakota Logan, and we had to slam y'all in at the last second, put you in together. It actually wound up had a lot of people love that episode. So if y'all are interested, go back and check that out. That was probably around, I don't know, Marchish. Maybe?
That's early March, late February. It was right after convention. So it was when you came and spoke. It was probably the week after that. So yeah,
I think it was the Monday after. Yeah, I think it was the Monday after the convention. I had the two of you on. That went really, really well because I had never had two people on before at the same time as guests. You know, I'd done round tables and things of that nature, but never had two guests on at the same time. So good to have you on here solo, so you and I can just hang out and talk. So I know one of the big issues that you're battling or fighting. One of those words is going to come out right.
Yeah.
Up there in the great state of Arkansas is ballot access, something that hopefully Ricky Dale is going to help you out with. But for the plebs like myself, let everyone know what's going on with ballot access up there, please.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, because it's such an important topic. The one thing that I get asked a lot, man, on the campaign trails, people say, hey, Michael, do you think you can win? Right? That's the thing you get asked a lot. And I can't give them a simple answer because to me, winning is a big deal. And I mean, there's a lot of parts to winning. You and I agree that we're in a battle for liberty here, a war for liberty, if you will, in this entire republic. And that war is going to be fought over many, many battles, right? The number one battle that we're fighting here in Arkansas, and a lot of states are going to be dealing with this, is ballot access. So what does that mean for people who don't know, who've never run for office? Okay. In a lot of places in this country, if you want to go run for office, you're going to show up at your election commissioner or your secretary of state's office, and you're going to say, hey, I want to run for office. And they're going to go, great. How do you want to run, as a Republican or a Democrat? You go, well, I don't want to run as either. And they'll say, okay, that sounds great. Go get 80,000 signatures and come back. Right. Go get 40,000 signatures and come back, or go over and visit the Republican table or the Democrat table, write a check for a few $1,000s, $15,000, and then come back with a piece of paper they gave you, and you can run for office.
Exactly.
So if you are a liberty-minded person, if you're a libertarian, if you're a Republican that is tired of your Republican Party, if you're a Democrat that's tired of your Democrat Party, you want in every single state, in every single election district in this country, that the Libertarian Party starts at the same starting line as the established parties do. So that is battle number one. So again, if you look at the map of the country, right here in Arkansas, we're fighting that battle for everybody, right here. So we can put representatives in office, local people in office, and in 10, 15, however many years down the road, people we don't even know the names of can thank us for, hey, thank you so much that you got this established for us. So the state of Arkansas has agreed that our governor candidate, Ricky Dale Harrington gets 3% of the popular vote. I've often said in interviews 4%, kind of aiming a little high.
Yeah.
But it's 3% of the vote. We get permanent ballot access. So, like my buddy Larry Sharp, you had him on. I love Larry, by the way. Larry, shout out to you. You don't know me. I call you my buddy, but I hope you know me. Give me a call, man. Help me raise some money down here in Arkansas. But you had Larry Sharp on, and somebody commented about how many candidates Arkansas had put on the ballot this year. We got 56, I think.
Yeah.
And he goes, I don't know if that's really a good thing, because maybe you won't have really good teams for your candidates. And he has a really good point, honestly.
Yeah.
But also, he's fighting a battle right now, or was fighting a battle for ballot access with signatures that we're trying to end for our future candidates here. So that's really the key. So winning that battle is step one. Step two is occupying some local offices. That's winning. And of course, step three is winning some federal offices and putting some people in power in Washington that are liberty-minded. So when people say, again, Michael, do you think you can win? Election night, if we have secured that PBA, that permanent ballot access, and I have been able to help do that, yes, that's a win for me. That's a win for me. Absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, there's small victories are still victories. And I use this quote all the time because we tend to get a little ahead of ourselves. We just as human beings. And I want to say it was Michael Jordan that said it as one of my all-time favorite athletes. He said, slow progress is still progress.
That's right.
We can't forget that, right? If you're inching along, as long as you're moving in the right direction, that's what matters. And there's going to be a ton of smaller victories that must be had before some of the bigger victories can even be considered all things. In regards to what Larry says, so I've had Larry on a couple of times, and things are going to look different for New York and certain states.
Sure.
Things are going to look a little different for Arkansas. But like you said, he does have a very valid point, because from our first conversation, a lot of what he was trying to teach me, or not what he was trying to teach, what he was teaching me, what I was trying to learn, is basically that can work for certain victories, right? And if you could pull this off through that, that'd be amazing. His whole goal with that is he would rather have 10 people running, good candidates that had hundreds of help, right? Hundreds of supporters, hundreds of help, than having 100 people running with very depleted resources between them. So he's right? But you're also correct. If you can get to that goal of 3%, doing it this way, basically through name recognition and people looking at Ricky Dale and getting you the 4% that you need, well, then now you've won. Then moving forward, maybe we go back to his model.
That's absolutely correct. Yeah. I mean, and so the party was really smart here in the state, I think, to do that, where it was, hey, we need this governor candidate with 3% or more of the vote to stop this constant hurdle we have to face. Yeah. So we're going to find people to run all locally, all places we can, so that I'm helping Ricky win. Somebody running for state rep, like again, Dakota that you had on, is helping him win. Yep. Someone running for quorum court is helping him win. So that libertarian model, that message is being carried multifaceted across the state. So I thought it was a really kind of a brilliant move. And again, that's battle one, and it being secured. Like you said, I think the next election cycle is for sure go to a Sharp model, which is maybe we run fewer candidates, but we give them really, really good teams and good resources.
Yeah, really, really great resources. And that's a good point by Colt as well. And I'll double down. So for those that are going to be listening in, or maybe listening only right now, Colt says, a government of the people, for the people, and by the people, then all the people should have ballot access, or it's a perpetual revolving door of the rich and elite who only desire power, not liberty or the American way. And that's absolutely correct. And I'll even double down and go further with it, in that if we don't have ballot access, and when I mean we, I mean Americans. I'm not Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, Green Party, any party at all doesn't have ballot access, then technically every single election is rigged.
That's right.
They're all rigged. And this is the conversation I was trying to have with my dad. Just yesterday, we were arguing back and forth, right? And I said, you don't understand, once you dive off into real elections, you understand when you look at no further than ballot access for independents and third-party candidates, every election is rigged.
That's right. Yeah.
So we need to fix that immediately. And then Phoenix also says another great point: 2 steps forward and 1 step back is still 1 step forward.
There you go.
And that is absolutely correct.
I like that.
So, yeah, me too. we got to get that. We got to get that under control up there in Arkansas, because again, each state that does succeed in this avenue is a win for every single state, because we're setting precedent, and we can spread that through the other states and let them know, look, here's what worked over here. You see that everybody has the same equal access to the voting ballot, which is only freaking fair. I don't know one sane American that would look at our ballot access laws and go, yeah, that's legit. Yeah, you can get 56,000 in Tennessee, but only 25 for a Republican or Democrat. That's fair. It's ridiculous.
It's a common thing. I mean, how often had you heard about the words ballot access until you actually got into the nitty-gritty part of the politics?
Exactly.
I mean, it's not something you're taught in any class. No one ever talks about this. You just grow your whole life up thinking, oh, yeah, it's a real fair system. And then go try to run for office and you realize how unfair it kind of is.
Absolutely.
And you bring up a good point too. Every single state that we secure this for, every single state that we get an equal starting position with the other parties, is one more possible state that's going to be the first one to win that federal level win, where we're going to have a congressman or a senator who's a libertarian in office. And people go, well, what can one congressman do with 438? What can one senator do with 100?
Right.
And the truth is, with so much legislation coming down to this almost 49-51% split sort of thing, you don't have that many seats. What you have is 2 seats basically right now. They essentially vote on party lines. Every now and then a small bleed over, but 1 or 2 independent voices in Congress changes the whole game. The whole game all of a sudden gets changed. And this, again, I love how Spike says it. He calls it the theater of opposition that we get.
Right.
That ends. Now it's a theater of cooperation. It is working together. It is trying to get actual people to make real plans for real progress as a country, as opposed to what can I send my donor email? What can I say on the floor to make people fired up to send me money? Right. That's what we have now, essentially. Yeah.
If you look at it wasn't that long ago. The news cycle just buries stuff so quickly, so fast. But it was not that long ago where literally late night shows and people all around the country were calling Joe Manchin the most powerful person on the planet, because one guy stopped Build Back Better, which was, oh my God, look at the inflationary cycle that we're in right now. This is unreal. If Build Back Better would have passed, we would be, I don't know that we would make it out of that. I don't know if we would make it out of this.
I wish that, so if we're going to jump to inflation, I wish I had something. I wish I had some really positive, encouraging words for the immediate future on this issue. Because that's what I should do as a quote unquote politician, right? Is I should promise the world to people. But unfortunately, with this issue, a true understanding of it, you'll come to arrive that it's probably going to get worse before it ever gets better. And that is the truth. That is the truth. And it's and what's interesting to me too about the 2-party system currently, and you talk about the news cycle. I mean, brother, I can hardly keep up, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we went from COVID to Ukraine to monkeypox to abortion, and now we're on gun control. And that was like 4 days ago, all that started, it seems like. Yeah. So what's the next thing going to be? And then every time I talk to a voter, every time I meet a family, anybody, and talk to them and say, what's the most important thing to you? They never mention any of those issues. They always say, Michael, I can't afford anything.
Yeah.
Everything is becoming unaffordable. And all their politicians are doing is arguing about things that are not related. Because again, the theater of opposition exists to not put focus on those issues, because the truth is that both parties are guilty of what we're going through. Yep. So they can't really offer a solution.
No, 100% both parties. And that's why I'm somebody who will habitually, probably 1 to 2 times a month, I'll just throw something out on Twitter saying, hey, don't forget about X, Y, and Z that just left the news cycle, right?
Yeah.
Or don't forget about these things that just 6 months or a year ago will get you kicked off the internet and now is okay to say. I say that kind of stuff on Twitter all the time because the news cycle just goes so fast. Now they're trying to make a January 6th, the insurrection.
Oh, yeah.
The big talking point of the day. I'm literally seeing people on Twitter saying that if you think inflation is worse than 1/6, then you're basically just a pleb and a peasant, you moron. Like nobody cares about 1/6. Nobody cares about a bunch of crap that didn't happen to politicians that literally steal from you and send your boys and girls overseas to get murdered for their oil money. Well, I don't care. Nothing happened. That is not a talking point. Get over it. It was an unguided tour of the Capitol invoked by the police, letting them in. End of discussion. Now we're looking at record high gas prices. Literally in this state, we have never seen gas over $4 a gallon. It is over $4.50 right now as we speak. That stuff is what people are going to be talking about. They're not going to be voting on Roe versus Wade. They're not going to be voting on January 6th. They're not going to be voting on Ukraine unless it's to not send them more money. Did you vote for that, by the way? I want to know out there, everybody watching, listen, raise your hand if you voted to send billions of dollars to a corrupt foreign government while we over here don't even have baby formula. Answer that. Sorry.
The incumbent that I'm running against, French Hill, Congressman French Hill, was one of the quote unquote few Republicans who broke party lines and voted to send $40 billion to Ukraine. And yeah, you're perfectly on point. And again, it is disgusting. And people, real people, and I don't mean the people on Twitter and the bots on Twitter and the
Right.
news cycle that promotes this or the algorithms. I mean, when you meet with real people, go to a gas station, go to a supermarket, go to a pharmacy, go anywhere else and say, what's the most important thing to you? Again, I just spent $100 to fill my gas tank up.
Yep.
And I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it again to get to work next week. Right?
Exactly.
And then you say, well, you realize that our government just sent $40 billion to a foreign country. And you just see the rage happening in people. We're being left behind by these people who are robbing this republic blind. They're giving this money to their criminal friends on Wall Street, the defense contractors, everybody else. They're inflating people's savings away, inflating the buying power of every single person away. And then they're trying to turn around and say, but I care about you. They don't care about us at all. They don't care about us at all. And the only problem they care about solving is getting reelected. That's it. You know?
Yep, and they'll do anything for that. I'm even seeing articles now, and I just posted it to Twitter yesterday. An article headline. It's basically saying that it's our fault for being grumpy about the economy as to why we might potentially go into recession. I mean, this isn't even let them eat cake. They're now blaming you for the problems they caused that they don't hurt from. Remember that, y'all. They don't hurt from inflation. They are well taken care of. This inflation doesn't bother them. So every time you hear them talk about it on TV, they could care less. They're worth millions and millions of dollars. They don't need to worry about this. They don't care about this. They don't care about you.
Yeah, not at all. And the thing with inflation too, that continues disparity amongst normal people is inflation benefits those with assets. Asset prices typically tend to do well during inflationary periods. So even though the stock market has had somewhat of a retracement, I mean, go look at a 5-year chart of it and tell me that inflation has not been beneficial to it. Housing prices, anything. And then of course, one of the platforms in my campaign is a ban on insider trading by Congress.
Absolutely.
And their dependents and, anybody they're kind of for 3 years, kind of divest to cash because, Nancy Pelosi's trading ability is uncanny. I mean, she's better than some of the most expensive and most sophisticated algorithms out there on Wall Street.
Just so happens when you know the information before it comes out, it kind of helps.
It might be beneficial, right?
It might be beneficial. Hey, look, and they're all super guilty of this because I know a lot of people take up for certain folks, and I get it, but let's not misplace blame here. Even somebody I can't really stand, I'm not a fan of at all, so I don't mind picking on her. Marjorie Taylor Greene. I saw the receipts where she had invested I think $15,000 in Lockheed Martin or Raytheon or both just weeks before the Ukrainian invasion.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah. And interestingly, too, a lot of that quote unquote disclosure that you'll get or the surface level disclosure you'll see a number like, $15,000. To me, $15,000 is a lot of money. But I know some people out there will go, well, that's not a lot of money to invest in the stock market. Some of these people are buying $15,000 worth of options that might pay 50 to 1, 60 to 1, 100 to 1. So they're making not only really, kind of inside bets that they have the information on, they're making very lucrative bets, again, at me in your detriment. That
$15,000 that she took from the taxpayers as a representative and invested it in the war machine moments before a war kicked off. And Colt makes another great point here in profiting from public service. I'm a person that's staunchly in favor of moving politicians' salaries back to the average median income, which would be about 40 to
100%.
$60,000 a year. They need to go get a job. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't need to live in DC. You can go do that thing and get paid the median average household income. And then the rest of the time you're not working in DC, you need to have a job, a real job.
It would be that would be a game-changing thing, wouldn't it, if congressional
Game-changing.
salaries were pegged to median income? Because then Congress would have an incentive for the median person in America to be doing better.
That's exactly right.
Right? Yeah. So right now, there's no incentive for that. Will that ever happen? I sure hope so. But that's going to be a tough sell, obviously. I mean, I think
Yeah.
they just got another pay raise. I mean, and their benefits are insanely good. And so again, and it's not just the benefits they get from the federal level. Like I said, they're making more money from all the extraneous and the speaking events and the inside information and the businesses they start. It is
Absolutely.
it's a hotbed of corruption, and it's become one of the worst places ever, really.
Yeah.
And so we got to change it, man. We have to, and that's why I saw the first appearance with you was the number one, number two, number three things that I want to do is if we can get the money out of Washington, those people won't even be there, man. You know, sharks show up when there's chum in the water. We get that stuff out of there.
Exactly.
We're gonna have a representative government again.
Yeah. I mean, that's a very white-pilled statement, and I appreciate that. I said something about it the other day. Is I struggle not weekly, not daily, but sometimes hourly between the black and the white pill. There's moments like this where I'm like, man, we have this chance. We have to do it. No matter what, we have a shot. We have the obligatory duty of being patriotic and turning the country back into a representative republic the way it was supposed to be. I see that. I hope it. I feel it all the time. And then there's other hours of the day where I'm like, all is lost. Black flag it. Burn it down to the ground. Let's start over. My wife came up with a really good idea, and I think it's a great idea. I think it's foolproof. No matter what the state of the country, every 100 years, fire everyone and completely start over.
Yeah, not a bad deal, right? Not a bad deal at all. Or how about you just make sure that individuals just have to be gone for a while. I mean, even if we can't get term limits, I mean, revolving terms of absence would even be a decent compromise that we could get to. You end corruption in private enterprise by making people take vacations. When people hear that, they go, "What do you mean?" I'm saying any single level of financial oversight in any large company, you will find that individual typically has to take time off. And in some companies, it's random and mandatory because they don't want anybody in control of anything where they can kind of get something underneath the radar, right?
Exactly.
We're at a place now where in this country we haven't had any sort of forensic audits of spending
No.
ever, and the people that have been there for 40, 50 years, are you going to tell me they haven't been stealing?
Oh, they have.
Yeah. So I'm with your wife on that one, man. Let's just tabula rasa, clean slate, every 8 to 12 years, I'd be cool with that, man. That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just completely start over. But and then the kind of off topic here. Sarah brings up a really good. I've been hearing this a lot of the last couple of days. None of the MSM is talking about the attempted assassination on Kavanaugh's life, which is also very odd, completely suspicious around the entire incident. In my mind, I don't know if you heard about it or not, but the dude flew across the country, got a pistol, some other duct tape and rope and just weird stuff. He's walking around Kavanaugh's street at 2 a.m. in the morning, then calls the cops on himself.
Yeah.
It's completely suspect.
Not suspicious at all. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. But they should be talking about it. Look, it's a historical event. A Supreme Court justice literally being probably an assassination attempt. But and again, yes, she's right. Taking they're trying to make everything about January 6th, which is utterly ridiculous. I'm completely against all of those show trials, all of the what they call what Trump impeachments. That's all just a bunch of. It's just theater, and it's a waste of your tax money. Nothing happened. Trump's not in jail. Hillary's not in jail. None of these people are in jail. It's just show theater. Right. And it's being performed at the expense of your tax money while they send billions overseas. And I'll go back up here to I saw a great comment here. Give me 1 second. From Monica. Monica says $40 billion and guns and they want to take our guns. Yeah, I will not be lectured by a government on gun control that just left $80 billion worth of military grade equipment in Afghanistan for the Taliban to run that entire country with. And I'm not gonna listen to that nonsense.
That you and I paid for. I saw that quote from Michael Malice. We paid for those weapons. And just like we paid for the guns that we have in our house. The difference is one set they're wanting to give away and one set they're wanting to take. And that's really been also too what's so strange to me is on all these ideas that they keep using as distractions from what should be the real one, which is corruption, inflation, and the monetary theft of wealth of the country. Every one of these ideas, there's no continuity of idea between either one of them. It is, this is okay, and the same thing will apply, and this is not okay. And you'll see it across everything. I mean, every single thing. I don't like to get in the weeds too much on, election fraud or this with the January 6th stuff, just like you, because I'm of the opinion that until we have independent voices in Washington, we can't actually make real corrective actions with that. But I saw someone sent me the other day a 5-minute reel of Democrats back to the 1990s questioning elections.
Yeah.
And then another 3-minute reel of them calling for violence against conservatives, and again, that's that theater of opposition. They're both doing the same thing.
Theater of opposition.
It's just every other election cycle, one's a good guy, one's a bad guy, and we fight this when we fight this miniature civil war in this country, and then we always end up with the same thing, man.
Yes, she's right here too. They were protesters right outside of his house the very next day. It is gross. I mean, look, I'm off. We need to protect the First Amendment at all costs, and as long as nobody's being violent, I have to side with the protesters because our First Amendment is clearly under obvious attack.
Sure,
but that's just gross. Don't go to people's houses.
Yep.
All right, these people are just doing a job. That there's a lot that could be said about that, but I'll leave it right there. Just stay away from their houses. Don't do that. That's disgusting.
And so again, on the Supreme Court thing, what I find so interesting too, and so suspect is this is a quote unquote leak, right?
Supposed to be, yeah.
Has that been confirmed? No.
Yes.
Right.
You're talking about the leak?
I mean, has there been an official statement? Have we released an official thing from the Supreme Court yet on this issue?
The decision itself has not been released, which I think is a stupid thing to have done. That is why you have protesters outside the house. As soon as it was leaked and Justice Roberts came out and said, yes, that was an authentic draft, they should have went ahead with whatever decision. Even if they were going to overturn it, just put it out there because this is ridiculous.
Well, I mean, sometimes, I might write things and write drafts of multiple opinions on something, right? So do we even, I mean, that's what I'm saying. All of this has started over what is not actually even official Supreme Court ruling yet. Yeah.
Nope. And it was from February.
Right. Yeah. I mean, how long does it take to get the draft out?
A long time ago.
So what I suspect sometimes a little bit, and I get concerned, is that, again, is we're getting all flustered about something that's not even official policy yet, not even official ruling yet. And go back to, again, the theater of opposition. It comes out in a timely fashion. Right? Yep. There might be, for all we know, 5 drafts on that issue. One that's pro it, one that's against it. I mean, whatever. The clerks have gotten them all ready because they're waiting for all the different judges to sign whatever they agree on. And we say, yes, it's an official draft. And then the whole country is up in uproar, right? And again, all while everything's going up in price, the central bank continues to inflate our currency. And so one more distraction. But I find that interesting. And
exactly.
Yeah.
I will say this too. You call me a conspiracy theorist, but this is just a fact. Does everybody out there understand what also happened within the 48 hours of that leaked SCOTUS draft over Roe versus Wade? Because I do.
Tell them no.
Pfizer document data dump.
Yep.
That's what happened during the same 48 hours. Did you hear about it? Some of us heard about it because some of us don't listen to the noise. Go check it out. It is brutally bad, which is why Pfizer literally tried to withhold this information for 75 years.
Mm-hmm.
Years, we would all be dead.
I've often said if you're seeing something that's very loud on the noise, there is something you're being distracted from that they're trying to make more quiet.
Exactly.
And you can go back, 20, 30 years through the news cycle, and you will find that time and time again. If there's something on your TV screen, there's something behind the scenes that's more important. that
Yeah.
that's being secreted. Good point.
Yeah. And there's a lot in those document data dumps. That's why I put that tweet out yesterday. I said the three most important topics are the economy, which is real because we all feel that at the gas pump. Literally, I can show you on paper where we're getting a third less groceries for the same price that we were paying 6 months ago. Obviously, everybody can see the gas pump. Then the Great Reset, which is the World Economic Forum's dealings, which all this inflation, Build Back Better is their slogan as well. All this plays into that. And then the Pfizer document data dump, because none of these people were informed. And if we are going to live in a society where informed consent is paramount and priority, then this should be viewed as nothing short of evil, manipulative, and criminal, what they have done to these millions and millions and millions of people who were not informed and got this quote unquote medicine.
That's right. Yeah. We might end up getting this episode might eventually be taken down again if it comes back, right? Because we're talking about this.
This is why I get censored so badly, right? I talk too much about COVID and Pfizer.
Y'all might want to download this episode, keep it on a hard drive somewhere. It's probably around midterms that they're scared of losing. It might come back, and this is totally deleted. But again, what's interesting too to me about the issue with the pharmaceutical companies and with the government and the co-opted media that worked for that whole entire narrative is it was the first time that I think that the majority of people could see what maybe people like me and you had been seeing for many, many years before, which was there really isn't an independence between large corporations, the government, and the media. I think for a lot of time before COVID, most people believed that, corporations might have some government representation, but government is sort of independent and the media is here to report things accurately and non-biased. But it was completely transparent what had happened. There was, again, this triumvirate, if you will, of, all of the experts agree. Well, they all agree because they're all the other ones that don't aren't on the media. They're censored, right? This is free. Well, no, it's not free. I'm paying for it.
Exactly.
They're doing well. And oddly enough, everyone in Congress bought stock in Moderna and Pfizer before this comes out, right? And so that's what I think that history will show this as ultimately is one of the first times that the veil of deception was sort of pulled apart for the American public to really see how what happened with that issue is what happens with every single other issue. So whether it's the war in Ukraine, whether it's increased ethanol in fuel, whether it is trade tariffs with this country, no matter what it is, it's not there to benefit us. It's there to benefit the corporate donors of the duopoly, and then of course the co-opted media is just their champion. I mean, on a local level, let's just go to a local level.
Right.
News, your local news, my local news, everyone who's watching this, their local news is likely owned by one of the same companies, right? And so you'll see the same headlines, the same narratives, the same everything. Perfect example for what we fight here in Arkansas, just on a local level. I'm going to give it an example. Ricky Dale Harrington, our governor nominee. We nominated him by convention in February of this year to be on the general ballot in November. Ricky is a black guy, all right? We didn't really think anything of that because that's not something we think about.
Right.
Okay, so the Democrats just had their nominee go through primary, and he is now on the general ballot. And every media station that night locally reported that he was the first black gubernatorial candidate in the state of Arkansas. We beat them by about 3 months, right? Yeah. and so I was sending corrections feverishly and everything else. But
that made national news.
That's what you're up against. That's the kind of thing that you're up against. The truth is not as important as what the corporate narrative is. And so we're constantly going to have to be battling that. And that's another quote unquote battle that we're fighting in Liberty.
Yeah, that was a pretty astonishing moment, like personally, because I run a pest control company. So I'm in my truck listening to AM radio all day. And I get, every half hour you get a news break. And I'm driving to my next job, and that made national news, like ABC or CBS or something like that. Arkansas has its first black gubernatorial candidate, and I'm like, what? Ricky Dale Harrington's running. Like literally in my truck, I'm like, what? No, that's not true.
Yeah.
I was super freaking pissed off that day because I was so shocked, right? Like very floored. And it shouldn't have been. It's just that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna continue to do that.
That's right.
It's so frustrating. And I like this. Hold on, give me 1 second. This comment by Colt here. Every major news outlet from Colby to Uvalde, way too suspect to be random events or coincidences, all events tailor-made to push anti-liberty and anti-American policy or agendas. Yes, that's exactly correct. Everything about Uvalde is super suspect in my personal belief as well. And all of everything that we've seen that is just crushing to liberty, remember, all of it is rooted in fear.
That's
Look
right.
no further than the Patriot Act. This is why we have the Patriot Act,
That's
which has
right.
got to be one of the worst and most intrusive, disgusting litigations I've ever or legislations that I've ever seen in my life. Can't stand it. I say all the time, if I were president and I could have an executive order on day one, what would it be? It would be to abolish the Patriot Act first and foremost, because it is brutal. But all of it's based in fear. That's why you get gun control. That's why you get the Patriot Act, and that they're going to use these events to push this anti-liberty legislation like you're talking about. And that was something we wanted to talk about was these new gun control measures coming up.
Yeah.
And so I'll give you a real quick. If you go to gaparmory.com, they do ghost guns there. Shouldn't really call them ghost guns because that's actually media propaganda. But at gaparmory.com, we carry the parts you need to finish your 3D printed firearms. We carry parts and accessories for a wide variety of popular firearms. We carry our own slide rails for 3D printed Glock frames. Libertarian owned and operated, longtime Mises and Cap kind of guy. We love and accept crypto. Gap Armory has the gear you need to bridge the gap in your defensive preparedness. So go check them out, gaparmory.com. Yeah, I saw, I think it was out of New York. Hochul is a disaster. We thought Cuomo was bad, and I had this in my mind. I was like, you know what? Everybody saw all these Republicans and Libertarians are celebrating Cuomo getting the yoinked. But I'm telling you right now, I think Hochul's worse. And right out of the gate, smoking hot, her and her vaccine needle necklace. Literally,
Yeah.
she's in a cult. These people are in a cult.
Yeah.
Just blowing it apart. She's ruining New York even further than what it already is. We saw Buffalo already has extreme gun control laws, red flag laws. The FBI already knew about that guy, and apparently he was talking with the FBI weeks leading up, or at least a retired FBI agent. So tell me again how the gun control worked over there, because it didn't. You go to Uvalde. What is the school? A gun-free zone, but let's do the gun control.
Yeah.
None of this at all makes any sense.
And again, I think that most people that I talk to, and again, it could be because I live in Arkansas.
Right.
And in Arkansas, I mean, we're a very pro-gun place, except for a few. Again, we've talked about the red mass with the blue centers.
Right.
There's probably some areas in Little Rock here where I live where there's some anti-gun sentiment. There's, I think, a march going on today about that. But I think most people see the disparity between blaming a person and blaming a tool, right? But what I find interesting about it, what I'm always looking for are two things. I want to see, one, where the media narrative is pushing it and where they're getting their information. And then I want, two, as a candidate and as a proponent of liberty, how do I capture voters based off that? How do other libertarians capture voters? So number one is the media narrative. Noel, when I ask you what a mass shooting is, what do you picture in your mind?
So that's a fantastic question, because
when you hear those words,
you think mass shooting, you're thinking a lot of people are dead, a lot of people are injured, but they keep changing the definition of it.
So let's educate your listeners kind of on this, because this is something they need to know and they need to be able to combat when they talk to people about it. The term mass shooting does not appear in any of our law enforcement dialect anywhere. The FBI, kind of being the big daddy of quote unquote guidance for law enforcement agencies, doesn't have a definition of mass shooting anywhere in their documentation. Right. Mass murder is documented, and which it should be, because murder is already illegal, right? Mass murder is 4 or more people killed, no matter the method, whatever happened. The term mass shooting that's currently being co-opted by the media is coming from an organization called Gun Violence Archive. I would challenge anyone to go to their website, to gunviolencearchive.org. You can go to About Us. There's a methodology page, and it'll tell you, how do they arrive at these numbers? What do they call a mass shooting? What they're calling a mass shooting is anything where 4 or more people are injured.
Yeah. Okay. I thought it was 3, but 4 more injured. Nobody even has to die.
4 more injured. Nobody else has to die. That's right. And so there's a couple numbers being thrown out in the media. You're going to hear there's been 244 mass shootings in America this year. Anyone can go to their website. You can download the data to CSV. You can export it to Excel. You can sort it by the number of deaths. It's column F. Don't take my word for it. Go do this for yourself. 91 of those 244 being reported have no fatalities at all. Almost half have no fatalities. The vast majority of the rest of them have one or two. In what me and you would call a mass shooting, there have really only been two: Buffalo and Uvalde.
Right.
And what the quote unquote definition of mass murder would be by the FBI, there's been, depending on which source you use, whether you use the Wikipedia source or you're going to use the gunviolence.org source, you arrive at a number around 19, not 244.
Right.
Okay. Likewise, you're going to hear a number thrown around a lot. I think now it's 28. There's been 28 quote unquote school shootings. Again, what do you think a school shooting is? If I hear that, I think Columbine, somebody coming in, shooting up the school.
Exactly.
Here's the most recent one. I'm going to click off this and read this. Okay, this is the most recent recorded school shooting, and you tell me if this sounds like a school shooting. Okay, this is the incident. Both Los Angeles school police and officers from the Los Angeles Police Department responded to the scene and believe the incident might have been gang-related. According to police, a male student was shot in the leg in the area of Oxnard Street and Coldwater Canyon in front of the school and was transported to Cedars-Sinai. So that is currently the most recent school shooting. It wasn't even at the school. It was in front of the school. It was gang activity, and the kid was shot in the leg by some other gang member, right? School shooting. So the media co-opted narrative is we're going to take this, we're going to make anything we can sound really, really bad. Back to how do we get voters? How do we capture them as libertarian candidates? I keep telling every Republican that I meet, your politicians have not been pro-gun enough. You do not have pro-gun politicians. They are just a slower version of anti-gun than the Democrats. That's it. And they'll think for a second. You can go through again bump stock legislation, and I remind them that the assault weapons ban didn't ever get repealed. It just sunset. That law would still be on the books today. And so there's a constant creeping encroachment. Now, again, it's always, this is the method they use. The political class will push a very extreme solution so that the people settle for one that's not extreme. And they keep doing that. And that's how they keep inching forward. So they're pushing for all out bans on these things and all the big gun legislation bill. We're going to end up settling for some red flag gun laws of some type, I think, are probably going to end up being on the books. And then, the 21 age limit for long gun purchases. So they made a little bit more of an advance and a little bit more. So when you talk to Republicans, when you talk to people that are quote unquote pro-gun, remind them that none of the people that they've been voting for have been pro-gun enough. Because if you really were for liberty, we should be actively repealing existing legislation, not just standing in the way of new ones. Because standing in the way of new legislation has only essentially got us slower versions of new legislation. That's it.
Yeah, I think Michael Malice said it really well. I think it was Michael Malice. I had to go try to find it. He said, conservatives are just progressives doing the speed limit.
Perfect. I love that. I'm stealing that, Michael. Yeah, I'm stealing that. Yeah, 100%.
Pretty sure it was Mike.
Yeah.
Steal away, bro, because I steal a lot from Michael Malice.
Sure. And we're all supposed to. The Libertarian Party, we're an ocean of ideas. I tell people all the time, if I say something that sounds good, take it, repeat it, call it your own. I don't care. If you go to my website, mwforliberty.com, you like one of my planks, one of my issues, take it, copy it, paste it. I don't care. Use it as your own. I mean, some of the things on there, like there's a couple sentences, they're from Larry Sharp's page. I literally went, that sounds great, man.
Copy, pasta.
Copy, paste, man. Control C, Control V.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's great. We should all be, if something sounds good, looks good, feels good, is good, hey, run with it. I mean, period. And I've stolen a lot from Larry Sharp too. He's actually, anytime I get to have, this is a beautiful, if you get a chance to talk with Larry, don't waste a second of it. Every chance I every time I get a chance to talk with Larry, he mentors me. He asks me about my personal things that have nothing to do with libertarianism, and he coaches. That's it's just part of who he is. Ingrained in his nature is to be a life coach for people. So don't ever don't take for granted 1 second you get to sit with Larry behind the scenes, or even if you're on his page. Absolutely fantastic human being. It's amazing. So you stealing stuff from Larry Sharpe, I love it. That's great because that's a great dude. I steal the other thing I stole from Michael Malice, and I use this in arguments with Republicans all the time. Is that if the state is big enough to protect your property, then it's big enough to steal it.
That's correct.
And I heard him say that on the Glenn Beck show live, because it was a beautiful moment where him and Glenn, he's on Glenn's show every Friday. It's always a fantastic conversation. Glenn was like, I want the government so small that their only ability is to protect property rights. And he shot right back and said, if the government's large enough to protect your property, it's large enough to steal it. I tweeted it out, and then Michael Malice retweeted me. And that was a really proud moment on Twitter. Yeah.
There you go.
But I mean, that boom, he punched right back with it, and it's just a glorious and beautiful state. That's a long way to say, yeah, steal away, steal stuff, run with it, because these things are important, and these ideas, especially for you who's running for office, who has a real shot at winning. Yeah, whatever's going to resonate with the average voter, that's what we need to go with. But again, avoiding what you said earlier, not just saying bull crap to make people feel good, but stuff that's really honest and applicable.
And we're gonna, I guess, I don't want this to be the Larry Sharpe glorification hour, but something that Larry Sharpe said that I heard maybe 3 years ago from him was the fact that, we had to, as a party, have actual real solutions. Because we were the underdogs, we couldn't just come from the place of niceties and saying things in a pretty way. We had to have real understanding of the issues and real solutions. And so, when I go look at libertarian candidates' websites on a general basis, when you look at their platforms, it is like mine. Real solutions, real actual plans. So thank you, Larry, for that, because I think that was great guidance for a lot of people out there running.
Yeah. No, yep. Larry's awesome. Hopefully you'll get to hang out with him soon, or maybe you'll do a show after you get done with your run for Congress.
Yeah.
And you can have Larry on. Larry's just an outstanding human. He'll go on anybody's show anytime, help you out with whatever you absolutely need that he can. So don't just ask, right? That the way I got Larry, let's see, there's a couple of people. I got Larry Sharpe and Hannah Cox both on my show through a freaking Twitter poll.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, just a Twitter poll.
And
take a shot.
You've had some good ones on too, man. You had Matt Kibbe on, who's always fascinating to listen to speak.
Dude, yep.
I'm gonna plug his book again. Don't hurt people, don't take their stuff. Anybody that wants to know anything about libertarianism, that's the first place I send them. I say, hey, just read this book, because the title alone sums up the theology, right? It's just, hey, here you go. Don't hurt people, don't take their stuff. Matt Kibbe, check it out. Everyone who's listening, for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I just went and grabbed it.
There you go. Yeah.
Don't hurt people, don't take their stuff.
Yeah.
Get it. It's not, I think I paid like $12-13 for it. Great read. Need to go through it again. But excellent. Yeah, I've had Matt on the show twice, and Matt's always amazing to get to talk to, because him and I got a really good wavelength, and very similar to us. It's a very easy conversation, and we just talk about current events and what's going on. But check out Matt Kibbe. Follow him on Twitter. Follow him on Facebook. And dude's got like almost 1 million followers on Facebook. So New York Times best-selling author. Let's see, Wall Street Journal, USA Today, Publishers Weekly bestseller as well. So
yeah, great place to start learning about libertarianism, for sure. Absolutely.
Yep. Fundamental basics, just all the good stuff. Sarah says, Larry is the man. That would be a great show. Is he on the ballot in New York now? Yes. Larry is running for governor of New York. There's a different situation up there in New York with what he's got going on. So I'm not going to try to explain it here. But go check it. You can check out my latest. I just had Larry on like last month. So if you just go back, comb through the videos, you'll find Larry Sharpe. He explains it really well of what their very complicated situation is up there. He's actually running on multiple different ballots, unlike what Mike's doing. Mike is running for Congress just straight up libertarian ticket. Tell me, how hard was it for you to get on the ballot?
So, I mean, I stand on the shoulders of people before me.
Right.
The party, fought very hard for some ballot access this cycle. So for me as an individual, it was easy. But for the people that came before me that made that possible, it was hard, right?
Yeah.
Signatures, petitioning the court, things like that. So that's why ballot access, securing it as a permanent issue for me is just really important. That's a big win.
Yeah.
Because again, Noel, your children, my children, our
Yep.
grandchildren, we want them to have a political system that they can participate in without every single roadblock in front of them. Which not,
Yep.
hey, you got $15,000. That's what it costs to run under a major party ticket here. If you wanted to run as a Republican for Congress in Arkansas, write a check for $15,000, and then you can run. Don't even have to be a Republican. So easy for me, but hard for the people before me. And I want to secure that
Yeah.
easiness for everybody else, man.
Amen. I love it. So how can people follow you?
Man, it's right here. MW for Liberty. That's Twitter. That's Facebook. That's the website right there. MWforliberty.com. 2 ways you can support my campaign. One of them doesn't cost any money. Follow me and share my content. Invite your friends to follow me. Helps me get a bigger audience. And of course, if you want to, send me some money. If you believe in liberty,
Cash, baby.
if you believe in liberty, $10, $20, anything helps us. We have identified 120 major intersections. We want to have signs up by October. We're trying to get that fund going. It's difficult to raise money as a third-party candidate. Anybody that runs for office will come to learn that.
Yep.
I don't have the machine gathering money for me. For instance, I want you also, anybody listening, to educate yourselves on how your establishment politicians are raising their funds. Go to the FEC website, pull up their latest reports. You will be surprised where this money is coming from. In my particular, circumstances, our incumbent candidate, he just raised $2,900, I believe, times 300, because a coal mining union in Virginia gave him $2,900 on behalf of each one of their employees. Nothing to do with Arkansas,
Wow.
nothing to do. So you go and look at that, and there's a machine that's helping these people stay in office and helping them raise money. We don't have that machine yet as a party, so it's going to be grassroots. So guys, please share my content, follow me. And again, if you can give. If you can't, again, help me out just by growing my audience.
Yeah, and that'll help a bunch. And I had posted actually a meme of yours. Really, really great background and picture of you with a good quote from you. I posted it on the big page. So you can all, if you need to just easy click, you can go on the Cajun Libertarian Facebook page, the big one. And you just scroll down a couple of days, you'll see Mike's meme on there. It did pretty well for a nice
kind of
local
audience
meme
I have. Yeah, and then I think
400 likes or something like that.
LP National retweeted it, and I was like, okay, great. And I gained
Nice.
50 followers. So that's the way that you can help not just my campaign, but any of your campaigns out there, any local campaigns. Is we're trying to build audiences, and the media is not going to make it easy on us. So it's going to come down to you sharing the content, you getting involved, inviting your friends to follow, them doing the same thing. We can beat the machine if we actually get organized and try to do it.
Yep, but we're not going to beat it with Russian ammunition, though. Don't you have a little bit of that?
I do. I don't want to.
Russian ammunition.
I don't want to get us banned. So before
Yeah.
the show, guys, little preview is I asked Noel, hey, could I show something? So I'm going to keep the AR off screen right now. But this is a 30-round mag loaded with Russian ammo. So it's doubly bad. I have apparently the most dangerous weapon in the world here sitting next to me, but then also useless against the military. And the whole conversation, Noel, this magazine never inserted itself and shot one person, man. Not a single time. Yeah.
I think maybe I should go check that AR-15 that's sitting in my closet loaded right now with at least I have Israeli ammunition in it.
Okay,
that's Russian.
A little bit better. Yeah, a little bit better. And I saw a thing too, if you're worried about AR-15s, y'all can buy an AR-10. It has 5 less ARs. It's 33% safer, apparently, according to people.
33%
safer. 33% safer. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Mike, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. It's been an absolute blast. Let us know. We'll keep in touch. Obviously, you and I will. We're friends outside of this. So, and then I'm sure I'll have you back on again as we get closer to November. As I kind of run through everybody that I've had on and everybody running for office real quick. Sarah says, keep fighting, Mike. Thank you for stepping up. God bless you, your family, and your campaign. Amen. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah.
That's awesome.
Mike, you're amazing. I'll have you on again real soon, dude. Let us know what you need. All right.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Cajun. Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, appreciate it. Later. Absolutely fantastic conversation as always with Michael White for Liberty. Go find him on Twitter. Go find him on Facebook. Follow him, share. If we can get his Facebook page up to 2,000 followers, then we can get him easier access to raising funds on that platform. So check him out. Follow him. Michael White for Liberty. Facebook, Twitter, anywhere else he might have. Fantastic dude, very sharp, very intelligent, had great information to give right there. Absolutely love that information. I had not heard that yet. So once again, thank you, Michael, and thank all of you. You guys are absolutely fantastic. And I will see you Monday evening on the Cajun Libertarian Live.